Welcome back, you guys. This is the Art School Graduate. And let me tell you, today's guest is someone I've just stumbled upon, honestly. And we were talking about this because he was at a creative conference that I was super interested in going to. I couldn't make it, but let me tell you, he's the founder of the Studio Temporary, a design studio with serious soul. He's worked with brands like Coca-Cola, Monotype, and everybody's favorite Grammy-winning Rapper of the Year, Killer Mike. And he has a design philosophy rooted in timelessness, storytelling, and doing things the right way. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm talking to Mr. Scott Fuller. Scott, how you doing, brother?
I'm doing great, man. Thanks so much for having me on. I appreciate it. You know, this came together really fast, which I like. I like the just the kind of organic quality to it. So
Yeah.
I'm excited to sit down, to talk, to just to kind of shoot the breeze for a little bit, and just see what's up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, okay, first things first. Did you ever get your chair right?
Yes. So 2016, I got my chair right. So
Okay.
here's the thing. I'm 6'1", but I'm all legs, right? So I'm like my wife is almost a foot shorter than me. When we sit down, we're almost the same height. And then as we stand up, it just kind of goes like this, right?
Yeah.
But I'm all legs, which means, it's got to hit my back just right. So I remember agencies that in-house places that I worked in, everybody would have matching Herman Miller chairs and color-coded this.
Oh.
Screwed my back up so bad.
Oh,
It was horrible. So I remember I'm trying all these chairs. I'm doing all this stuff. I mean, like I even went to IKEA and just got like a wooden, office chair.
Yeah.
And that was at the time that was good for me. I remember we were in Staples. I don't even know why we were in Staples. Like I have no clue why I was in Staples.
Mm-hmm.
But I remember my wife was looking at something, and I sat down in this office chair. I'm like, well, I'm here. Let's see what's up. Mm-hmm. I sat down in this office chair, and I'm like,
the light bulb came on.
Oh my gosh, it was the most amazing thing. So I've had 3 of these chairs over the years, right? So I had two. Sorry, I had 2. So I got one for my studio when I had my studio in downtown Atlanta, and then I got one for home. It's like $110.
Can't beat it.
Can't beat it. It's amazing. It's a mesh. It's got the little headrest. I can.
Yeah.
It's so nice, and it hits me in just the right spots, man. That's so key because look, I'm it's a sedentary,
job. Yep.
Profession.
Yep.
So I have to be comfortable if I'm going to be sitting on my rear end for part of the day, right?
Right.
So it's nice. It's nice. So I found my chair about 10 years ago, and I'm set.
Good. Man, as much as we all would love, that Herman Miller sponsorship for a good chair, sometimes they're not the greatest. The ones I love are the big, not the recliner, the
Eames Lounge.
That I feel like a baby again.
So I've sat in some of like the Eames, like the chairs, like the office chairs. Those are okay. But I remember the first time, this was probably like 15 years ago or something. And I remember I went to Design Within Reach, which is kind of a misnomer if you've ever been to that store. You get a stool and it only costs you $175 for one stool, right?
Wow.
Bar stool.
Yeah.
And that's on sale. So I remember I sat in an Eames Lounger for the first time. Mm-hmm. And the only other chair that I've ever sat in that's more comfortable than either this one or my parents' old recliner. Okay. So it comes in right there, top 3. But it was unreal. So, I don't care about all that other stuff. At some point, I will get one of those Eames Lounge chairs, man. And it is it's amazing.
Oh yeah, most definitely, man. We can talk about chairs all day.
Yes, we could.
But let's talk about you, man. This is your time to shine. So, I know your path into design wasn't typical. You were on the track to be a mechanical engineer. Through my research, I was like, This guy is designing fire logos, and he was a mechanical engineer. What happened there? What flipped the switch and
So
made you choose to start over?
So my dad raced pro supercross back in the day, like
Mhm.
champion the whole bit, right? I remember, and he became a machinist when he stopped doing that. So my dad was a machinist, still is. He's going to retire next year, um, but he had his own shop for like 20 years, and I remember going in there. I used to go into his old job, at a Yokogawa,
Yeah.
and I'd go in there like machine shop, everything. I'm 5, 6, 7 years old, and I'm walking around the machine shop, because I know what's going on.
Yeah.
And I knew everybody there, knew all the folks. And then he opened his own shop, and I remember I'd go there and work maybe for an hour or so after school. Man, I had a Lego budget when I was a kid that was like, right.
Oh
So
man.
I remember it was something that I always enjoyed, and we did it for amazing people,
Mhm.
right? Like we did it for the guy that invented the tranquilizer gun, like the air powered tranquilizer gun.
Oh, the one like
Uh,
that
yeah,
one? Oh
yeah,
wow, that's dope.
from Georgia, from
Yeah.
from the South, if you could believe it.
Yeah.
But like we did a ton of stuff for those guys. So, we did
Mhm.
all these different things. From there, I learned. You go to some places and it's like,
Mhm.
a construction. What do they do? They measure with like, tape measures and and whatnot.
Yeah.
Man, we're measured in hundreds of thousands, thousands of inches,
Yeah.
and it's nice. I mean, we're up there with like calipers and micrometers, and
Mhm.
if you're off by an eighth of an inch somewhere, else, it's like, okay, that's not horrible.
Mhm.
If you're off by an eighth of an inch here,
It'll
you're in.
mess it
I
up.
mean,
Yeah.
it's no, like you've destroyed a $250,000 machine, right?
Woo!
Like it's insane.
Mhm.
So, but it was, you had to be on top of that level of precision
Mhm.
constantly.
Mhm.
So from a young age, I had that, not even just like drummed into me, but it was just something that I experienced all the time. I had a head for numbers. So a head for numbers and a head for finance are two very
Mhm.
different things. I had a head for numbers. Okay. But I graduated high school at 16. I did trig, physics, calculus, like all that stuff, and I'm ready to go. And I'm like, here's my path forward. I'm going to be mechanical engineering. I got the scholarship, but then I took an art class my senior year of high school, and I've been drawing ever since I was, little, right?
Mhm.
As most of us have. Stop me if you've heard this before, right? And I fell in love. I was like,
Yeah.
this is amazing. So then I decided to change my major. I went to school,
Mhm.
first, year and a half, and it's like, this is fine. And, it took me a while, but it's like, I'm really good at this.
Mhm.
But I was bored out of my skull because, well, here's the thing. And I'll email you some of the a couple of the things that I did over the years. But I remember, I'm tired of looking at something and drawing it, looking at something and painting it. I was like, this is ridiculous. I'm
Mhm.
not making anything. Now, this is for all the fine artists about there about to lose their minds. This is my take on this. Okay. So I said, let's give it one more semester. So I took a design class. 5 minutes into the class,
Loved it.
done.
So, what did graphic design give you that made it feel new? Because you said drawing something that already existed didn't work for you. So, what did graphics have that was like, yo, I can
It
do this?
was ultimate creativity for me,
Oh.
because I could design something that didn't exist, or I could give a visual identity to something that it didn't, that didn't have that before.
Mhm.
I could make, I could do illustrations in a different way. I love the graphic and
Mhm.
stuff. That I love the. It's so funny. You talked about, you looked at some of my work and whatnot. You talk about like the timeless and the iconic and the simple.
Mhm.
So much of that wasn't anything that I learned in design school. It all went back to working in the machine shop. So your angles, the weight, everything like that. That's where that came from, not from art
Mm.
school. That just, it gave me an outlet to use what I had already learned over the course of my life.
Mm.
But I would say that I learned more. I got more. I put more into what I do, technically, or just the way I look at it, from working at the shop than I ever did at art school.
Because you referencing back to your logos, they do seem like they have a very, and this isn't a knock, but a grid aesthetic to it, where it's
Mhm.
very like you can lay it on a grid and you can see that it's like measured out, and the circles, or even some of that stuff. I'm like, now hearing this part of the engineering, I'm like,
This is why.
this is why
This is
this
why.
this is makes
Here,
sense.
here's the other thing, and this is something that I learned. If you lay a grid on a lot of my stuff, it's not going to line up. But
Mm,
here is why. And I think part of this came as when I started, designing more type and everything like that.
mhm.
But you can make something look, there's a difference between I can make something look there's a difference between mathematically correct and visually correct.
Got you. Okay.
If you can make something look mathematically correct, that is technically mathematically correct, and it will look completely off, just
Mhm.
horribly off. But you take something, you make it look visually correct.
It's different.
It might look mathematically. It's like my dad called them optical intrusions, right? And that's was kind of my bit. So, but that's where I learned, and
Mhm.
there's a little bit more into it than with some of that stuff. But that's where I get a lot of that stuff. And then I learned negative space. I learned that type of stuff from like Steph Geispieler, Malcolm Greer, Lance Wyman, all these
Mhm.
different things. Who, by the way, I got to go up to Brooklyn in March and do a day long workshop slash thing with him and only like 10
Dope.
other people. Dude,
Dope.
oh my gosh,
I saw it
he's
on
amazing.
your LinkedIn. You were like, no sleep till Brooklyn, because that's where you were headed to. Oh, that's fire. Dude, talk about that. How was it being in that space?
My gosh. So, I mean, Brooklyn is amazing. I
Love
thoroughly
it.
enjoyed that. I had a
Hmm.
great trip up there. My first time flying to JFK, I've been to LaGuardia,
Hmm.
every other time I've been up there. And
Yeah.
here's the thing, I fly out of Hartsfield, man. So any airport that I go to is going to pale in comparison.
Yeah.
We have the best. We have the best one. I will put it up against anyone. We have the nicest TSA agents. We have some of the.
Yes.
We may not have the best food. If there is one
Yeah.
thing that I could put out there, we may not have the best food, but we have very good food. It may not be the best, but it's a lot easier to find stuff. Our TSA are the nicest in the country,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. That Southern
And
hospitality makes a big difference.
it's a lot, and Ubers are a lot easier to get to.
Oh, they're quick. They're quick out there. My family's from out there. My dad, my sister, everybody. My dad grew up in Columbus, and my
Mhm.
sister lives in Atlanta. So when we go and visit, I'm like, it seems like it's like you press Uber and it's like 2 minutes away. I'm like, okay, let me start grabbing stuff, because
Yeah, you don't
usually
mess around.
at
So
LAX you press Uber.
nah. So so it was my first time flying into
Yeah,
JFK. Look, I'm just I want to have a good time on the
yeah.
podcast. I'm not going to talk too much crap about JFK. Uh,
But we know.
we so anyway, so I get in there and I have to take a get the Uber to the
Mhm.
house and everything, and then I walk and I take the train for 3 days, which I love. That is the one thing I do love about New York.
Yeah.
So got up there, spent the day and spent the evening in Brooklyn. Then next morning, up and at 'em with my buddy Chris. Took his train down from Albany to go and take this thing with me,
Mhm.
and went into Carlson Wilker, which is the agency up there in Brooklyn,
Yeah.
and Jan was up there with a couple of folks from his team. Lance and he have been friends for like 15 years, and it was amazing. So
Yeah.
I've been a fan of Lance for basically my entire career.
Mhm.
I think there's only maybe one other designer on the planet that has had more influence on my career
Mm.
than Lance. And I'll talk about him in just a second. But just hearing all his stories, hearing all the background behind it,
Mhm.
getting to do like a little workshop with him. Dude, he brought his original sketchbooks from the 70s.
How are they still holding up?
They're still holding up, dude. I mean, don't get me wrong. Some of them have a little bit more tape on them than others, but
Yeah.
it was
Damn.
unbelievable. Like I'm seeing the first time he ever drew some, certain things, some of the
Uh,
logos that I've loved for years, and the nicest man, the
mm.
nicest man. That rascal can take a good selfie. I'm not kidding. He's in his 80s, man, and he just sit there, is like, we're just gonna take a selfie now, and just boom,
Got it.
selfie. Perfect. Perfect.
Oh my God.
Had a great time up there. Got to hang with some folks. Next day, got to go into Brooklyn, or not into
Yeah.
Brooklyn, went into Manhattan. Got to go to the Strand, of course. Got to
Ooh.
go to the bookstore up there. Ate at Hamburger America. Um, oof, just amazing. But it was great to see that. Like, I put a lot of thought. One of the things you said, people have said a lot of things about my work, but one of the
Yeah.
things that I love that you said, you talked about a lot of soul
Yeah.
in my work, right? And a lot of meaning,
Mhm.
right? In the intro.
Yeah.
And I learned how to put even more into that. Just in half a day.
Wow.
I have no words. I have no
Man,
words.
how did that feel to sit next to this person? Like I know you just explained who he is, but like I'm trying to get to it. Was like, how did it feel to be in that space where you're looking at this dude where you're like, bro, man, do you know I studied you? Like, do you like how did that feel to just be like
So
rubbing elbows and just being able to look at his process and him sharing these just like gems of design that probably you've never heard or I've never heard. So how was
so
it?
I think it would have been two different things. If I had met him when I was first out of school,
Mm,
it would have been very different, I
got
think,
it.
because there's that little bit of like, oh my gosh, it's
Yeah.
this person. And trust me, it was still that. But when I went in there, I said, look, I want to meet him. I want to talk to him. I'd love to, like we've talked on the phone over a couple
Hmm,
times, but I never met him in person.
hmm,
And I want to look, I love talking. I'm a very talkative guy. I love having fun,
mhm.
but I made up my mind when I got there, I was going to say as little as humanly possible,
Wow.
and
Yeah.
just soak it all in, you know.
Yeah.
But you still get to know the person. Like I remember I met Michael Beirut for the first time back in
Mhm.
2009, um, when I was just coming out of school,
Yeah.
and then I saw him in New York at the first ever brand new conference in 2010, and he remembered me. We just had a great conversation, introduced me to Paula Scher, and like all these different things. Paula Scher is like 4'10", by the way.
Yeah. Yeah. I I spoke with Eddie Opara and
Oh man,
I was like, how is it working with her? And he was like, she comes in just full ready. Any idea and every idea, nothing's bad. He was like, she
yeah,
comes in loaded because they worked for Pentagram.
yeah,
Like yeah. So I was like, what in the world is that? He was like, she comes in ready.
yeah. It's something else, man. But just it's amazing meeting some of these people, and I think one of the things I've talked a lot with students
Yeah.
about this. So you and I have something in common. We both teachers as
Yeah.
well. I've been teaching now for about 4.5 years.
Yeah.
So I remember I was at KSU a couple of earlier this year,
Yeah.
and I remember some of the some of the kids were saying, "Hey, we're getting ready to go to a conference. How do we meet all these people?" And it's like, "What are you going to do?" "Oh, I'm going to give them business cards, and I'm going to tell them I'm going to work with them, and I'm going to do all this stuff." And
Nope.
I said, "Let me tell you something." And look, I'm gonna say the quiet part out loud. What do we do with business cards when we get back to the hotel room at night?
Put them on the countertop or go in the trash can.
Straight in the trash can.
Yeah.
90% of them,
Yeah.
90 to 95% of them, straight in the trash can. That's not an insult. It's just what it is.
Yep.
I want to know the person. It's like you're going up here and you're just saying, "I want to do this, I want to do that." I don't know you.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't
Yeah.
know who you are. I don't know how we could even be of help to each other. It's like that's akin to like all these guys on like email and Twitter and or X or whatever. And hey, here's what you should be doing right now. And here's how I can do this. And
Yep.
here's how we can help with all your shipping and storage needs. And it's
Yeah.
like, look, we can help you design amazing logos. And it's
Yes.
like,
Okay.
you have no. So I've just started responding to all these folks on like email, like Insta, like the
Uh,
Insta, and like stuff like that. I'm like, look, I'm done. I'm just gonna start clapping back and just going for it, right? And it's crazy some of this stuff.
yep.
But anyway, so we go back to this idea that it's like, man, I'm happy to meet these folks,
Mhm.
but I have to kind of set myself and just say, look, I just want to be a sponge.
Yep.
and I would, I'd kind of put that on folks out there, especially if you're coming up,
Mhm.
don't go up and just start throwing stuff in their face, man. Get to know them, talk to
Right.
them,
Right.
you
Right.
know?
Be
And yeah, and that kind of goes into a little bit of my process and different things like that, how I deal with people that I work with, etc. It's
Mhm.
something that's being lost, just kind of over the last couple years. Well, a little longer than that, but especially since like 19 and 20.
Let let's touch on that real quick before we jump off. We were talking about that earlier before we
Mhm.
started recording. How people have lost that touch, that human feel, that connection. Why do you think that is?
I think that a lot of these, you get your Slacks, you get your Zoom, you get your just
Mhm.
stuff like that. I remember back when Skype was the big thing,
Mhm.
but I think the ease of use of a lot of these things just contributed to that. And look, I use them all too, so I'm not sitting here bashing any of them because
Mhm.
I use them all too. But at the same time, I there's a human connection to this. There's a
Mhm.
personal aspect to everything that I do,
Mhm.
to every project that I work on. One of the so there's three tenets of kind of working with me when it comes to this. Number
Mhm.
one, and it's the first one. I say I want this to be personally unique, and that can mean a variety of things.
Mhm.
But to get to know that person, to understand them, and even bring in, your own experience,
Mhm.
etc. That's a big thing.
Yeah.
And that's like number one. Number two is simple. Was Einstein said, things should always be as simple as possible, but never simpler,
Mhm.
right? And then third is you mentioned on that timeless, iconic uh, portion.
Mhm.
It's very, very, huge. My first mentor was Steph Geisbuehler. For
Mhm.
those of y'all who don't know, he's the guy who designed the NBC logo. I
Yep.
mean, just amazing, amazing stuff. I met him at the How conference. The first design book that I ever got was what is it? Was this? Was the trademark
Oh
book.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I bought this thing brand new, still in the stuff. Good night. 18 years, and it's just it's wild to think about that. But I remember hearing his talk, and during that portion, when I'm getting ready to graduate college, everything was, what was it? Sustainability was the big keyword.
Yeah.
Everything was leafy and green and organic and thin, right? And I'm like, look, I'm just coming out of school, but I know this isn't going to last for more than a couple of years. It
Mhm.
was like these trends and fads and different things like that. And then I heard his talk on timelessness, and it blew my mind because it wasn't something that was even being taught really that much where I was.
Mhm.
And I remember going back to to the college that I was at
Mhm.
for my senior year, and I wasn't the best designer there. I
Mhm.
really wasn't when I especially my junior year, and I'm still learning this stuff.
Mhm.
But I went back after hearing that talk and just skyrocketed.
Mm.
And I just remember going, there's an understanding here that a lot of people are missing. And I'm not saying that mine is the only way,
Mhm.
but there's something to be said about, I stay away from trends. I stay away from fads. I stay away from all that stuff because I want to make something. This is where the personal comes in, right?
Got it.
Personally unique. There's something that's unique to that person. Um, do you know who James Victory is?
No.
Oh man. So James Victory, he got in. Okay, I'll just cliff note on this guy. He got into the Museum of Modern Art in his 20s for poster design. Just insane. An incredibly nice man. Very forward, very direct. We've been friends for a while now, and
Oh.
he was another one of my mentors, just without him even realizing it. But he gave a talk. I think I can't remember what it was for. It was like, it was a what was that thing? It was like the 99% or something like that. It was what was that? It was a whole thing back in like the 2000s, early 2010s. I think it was like the 99%. It was I can't remember what it was. I can't remember if that was it.
Was
Anywho,
it the design? It was like 99 designs or something like that.
no. It was like a whole platform. Um, it was like 99% or something like that. I forget what it
99% invisible.
was. I think.
Uh,
Anyway,
yeah, yeah,
he
yeah,
gave a talk. He gave a talk, and he quoted this book where it says like, "In the particular lies the universal." Where is this idea where if I can explain something personally that I have done, something that means something to me, in such a way that it's universally and like it's universally understood, then it becomes, in a certain way, it can become universally understood. His example was the guy that did. Remember when we used to unlock the phone or the iPhone, like that
yeah,
awesome little sound, right?
yeah.
The guy who designed that sound based it on the sound of his high school gym locker unlocking.
Oh wow.
So that one thing
Uh-huh.
that he knew back in that day now is a worldwide. You hear that sound and it's like, I know what that is, but that's where it came from.
So, wow, that just kind of turned me on my head. So you said, what was the saying again? You said
It
that
In the particular lies the universal.
in the particular lies the universal. How did
Also, I'm
that?
looking for also my apparently my earbuds are about to kick the bucket, so
Oh, you're good.
I'm trying to find my little headphones here. Not a lot over the years. All right, so we're back in and
Yeah,
okay, so yeah,
that's
but that's it's little things like that really influence me, like things that are saying, I will say though, probably the biggest influence on my career, if I can go back to and just say this is the one thing where one place
yeah.
where everything changed. Have you ever heard of a man named Malcolm Greer? Malcolm Greer, Grear. Have you ever heard that name? Nobody has ever heard of this guy, which blows my mind. He's the most famous designer that no one's ever heard of. I'll tell you how famous this guy is. And, you ever seen the Presbyterian church logo?
Yeah. Yeah,
Gorgeous, right?
yeah.
Like amazing. This guy
Even the
designed,
Guggenheim logo.
yeah, all those the Guggenheim posters that like everybody saw, that was him, or even but the Presbyterian church logo, that was him.
I'm
He
looking it up right now.
he taught at
Wow.
RISD for forever. He was out of Rhode Island, man. I mean that's basically a city,
Wow.
you know, and just amazing. Just a small studio, um, just ridiculous work. But he understood negative space
Yeah.
and meaning in work like no one I've ever come across to this day. So 2011, I remember I've been to the brand new conference, so I've known Armin and Bryony for a long time. Great people, great, just amazing folks. So Armin texted me and said, "Hey, I found this thing on Vimeo. We're going way back in the way back
Yeah.
machine, right?" He said it's an 8 minute thing. He said, "I think you would actually enjoy this. It's an
Mhm,
8 minute video about him and his studio."
mhm.
And I remember just jaw through the floor. Like, I have
That's
to know
great.
more about this man. So for
Yeah.
me, I tend to find out, it's like, do they have books? Is there a book on him? Is there a
Mhm.
book on his work? So he was also, like I said, as a teacher. So he did a book through AIGA and New Writers called Inside Outside, from the Basics to the Practice of Design. Right.
Mhm.
So I went on eBay. I had to go on eBay. I found this book for like $10.
Wow.
And I got the book and it's just amazing. Talk through this process, all these different things. So I posted it on Instagram, which was brand new at the time, maybe a little over a year old.
Mhm.
And I tagged Malcolm Greer Designers. So about 20 minutes later, after I posted that, I get a call from a Rhode Island number, and it's his son who's there at the studio. "Where did you find this book? We wrote it, and we still can't we can't even find it.
Oh my God.
Where did you find the book?" Right.
That's
So
so
I got to
cool.
talk to him for like 20 minutes. We talked through that and different things. I never got a chance to talk to Malcolm. I
Mm.
never got a chance to meet him. I never got a chance to email him or talk to him or do anything like that. A great regret of mine to this
Mm.
day. But I talked to his son and I said, if I mailed a book up there, would he be willing to sign it? Okay. Tip for anybody out there who's going to send something off for anybody to sign it, send return postage with it.
Mm-hmm.
I had one design, and I'm not gonna name names. He said somebody sent that to me, and without return post, I just kept it. I mean, little things. So
Little
anyway,
things matter. Yeah.
so I sent the book off, and I actually included. I put about 4 or 5 pages of my logos in there. And I'm like, what the heck? I'm not looking for a job or anything. I had a job at the time, but I'm like, well, let's just see what happens.
It doesn't hurt.
So about 2 weeks later, I get the book back with all my work still in it, by the way. So I'm like, okay, fine. So I go through, and he signs the book. He had amazing, just beautiful handwriting. So he signed the book.
Oh, that's nice.
And I'm flipping through, and I get to the center of the book, and he hand wrote me a note on the studio's, the
letterhead.
The letterhead.
Yeah.
And it says, "Dear Scott, thanks for the compliments. I'm happy to sign the book, Malcolm Greer." And then this one little thing changed my entire process. It said, "Look heavy at form and counterform." So what was happening is I was making logos that were, and this goes into something that we talked about, before the call. Before the podcast, I was building geometrically sound logos. I was building all these different things. But what I wasn't paying attention to was the negative space and what was actually being built or portrayed within the logo that I was creating.
Right.
So I started paying attention to that first. So I started building logos. And when you mentioned this, I started building them from the inside out because, any building, any structure, car, anything like that, you have to start with the components. You have to start with the, your, all these different things. You have to start with your foundation. You have to start with the, your support and like all these different things. And logos are exactly the same. At the moment that I got that note, my entire career changed.
Wow. Dude, you're having like these awe-inspiring, like mind-opening, creative, blocks moving, like moments. Like wow.
But here's the thing. Like,
yeah,
you're gonna have artists and designers that have these big moments and stuff like that and get inspired and do whatever.
Yeah.
But what do they do with it? Like,
yeah.
Yes, I'm getting all these things, but I had to put in the work to get to that point. Just because I got this big, dose of inspiration,
right?
That doesn't mean that like the next day everything changed. Right. I'm talking like in the next couple years,
because you have to work at it. Yep.
To here.
Yep.
But if you look back at my work, and I remember when I first started the studio, if you look at there to what I'm doing right now in 10 years, I'm not saying that what I did back then was bad. I'm just saying that I have continued to grow as a designer, as an illustrator, now type designer, packaging, all these different things. I've got a chance to, to grow a lot over the years because I'm constantly looking to better what I'm doing. How can I see this better? How can I see that better? Etc. And just because you get these flashes of inspiration or these brilliant insights or, these, life-changing meetings, you still have to be the one to take it to that next level.
Yeah. How do you students take to this information when you're you know why I'm asking? I know
what you're about to ask. Okay, so all right, so a few standing rules in my classroom. Number one, all sketches must be turned in on paper with pen, not pencil. If you hand me any sketches in Procreate, I will drop your grade by half a letter. I'm not kidding. Because the whole process is, we want to make these things that, are perfect and this and that. And it's like, yeah, but it's in all the screw ups and different things like that where you find these gems and you're trying to present me something beautiful. I'm telling you that the sketches are for you.
Right.
They're just to get a concept down. They're not, these sketches aren't going to be the ones that end up, as the final logo. It's just to get you to a point. So I want to take all the pretense away from that. I don't care if it's perfect. If you can communicate the idea to me as the client, quote unquote, and then to yourself,
Mhm.
that's all I care about. Okay, so that's number one. And then, number two, and this is something that I've had to, really enforce. If I see you using AI, I will flunk you on a project.
Okay. Okay.
So,
I'll come back to that, but keep going. Yeah.
oh no, I'm gonna hit on that for a second. So
Okay.
we did. I was working in a class, and I had one of my students, and
Mhm.
I was looking at her screen and everything, and she had these amazing sketches, like unbelievable sketches. Like I was so happy, I couldn't wait to see what this brand was going to look like. And then typed in a prompt in Illustrator, and out pops this thing, and she starts building everything around that, which had it looked nothing like the sketch. And I understand that things that we design can look very different from the sketch, but it was a completely different thing. And you had to literally change the entire, I mean, just everything about it to fit within this one thing. I stopped everything right there. Everybody shut your laptops. Everybody look at me. And they're probably still talking about it if I'm being honest. But here's the thing, and I'm just gonna say this about AI and be done. I don't think it's necessarily bad. I don't think it's necessarily good. I just think people are using it way too early. That's my thought. That's just
Okay.
my thought. You
Okay.
know, I think that so many things that we what is it? Oh, I think he's just died.
No, I can still hear you. You're good.
You can still hear me? Yeah, but
Yeah. Oh, it's beeping?
is it beeping to you?
No, I said I can still hear you, but is it beeping on your end?
No, but what is it? The noise
Oh,
canceling is gone.
okay. No, but I still hear you clearly though.
So
You're
everything's
good.
good. We're good.
Yep.
Okay. Okay. All right. So anyway, what was I gonna say?
AI.
Yes. So with AI, I think that I don't think there's necessarily anything bad about it. I don't think there's necessarily good. I just think that it's doing good. I think that we start to ideate with it. I think we start to do all these different things. But what happened is we have all these things that we used to know how to do. We used to know how to, I could draw this thing in Illustrator. I could do this thing in Illustrator. And now all of a sudden, we have to get somebody to do it for us. It's like, how do you do this?
Mhm.
Oh, you just do this as this. Oh my gosh, that's amazing. And they're about to graduate art school, have no clue. And it's like, you can't, you can't automate creativity, and you can't automate your process when it comes down to the type of work that I do,
Mhm.
right? It takes the uniqueness, it takes so much of that out of it. Because if you and I put in the exact same prompts, what's it going to get? There
Yeah.
might be maybe a slight, you know, difference, but for the most part, you're going to get the same thing. So why would I want something that anybody can put in there? Where is the uniqueness? Where is that, the reason you hired me in the first place? This is why
Mhm.
we talked about we come back to this again. We talk about the back and forth and having conversations, everything. I have won more projects because of how I can relate to people than sometimes my own work, because people they know that they're being heard, they know that it's going to be unique, and they know that I'm actually paying attention to what's going on, and it's not something that I'm just going to automate. I'm
Right.
not saying that it doesn't have its uses. I'm saying a lot of times with AI, and this is the conversation that I had with a bunch of my buddies at Creative South,
Mhm.
it's just being used too early.
Okay. I I understand that, and I
Mhm.
come at it from a little bit different. I look at it as more of research. I don't use it. I don't allow my students to use it as like a final, but I allow it to be used as research,
Mhm.
because as much as I don't want to be the old man hating, it's like with this, it's going to happen, but we have to find a creative way for people, I think creatives, to use it. And that's
Mhm.
why I look at it as research. I don't allow it like in my high school classes. I tell them to take it off. Like I can control it and I take it off. So they don't even get to use
Mhm.
the AI in Photoshop or Illustrator
Well,
for my
like using it for mock-ups, using it for like all these different things. Like,
oh
man,
no,
you're
not for
able.
mock-ups. Not the, I don't allow them to do that at all. It's
Ooh,
literally like
nice.
because I was sharing with Owen Hammonds, and I shared with him how there's a AI generating prompt thing where he can be like, design a logo for uh, a salsa company in London. Like it'll give you like these random things, right? And so I was like, okay, I let them use that, but it kind of helps them out because what I've noticed is if they're not coming in with a creative background,
Mhm.
they just stare at the screen.
Right.
So it's like I allow them to use it where it's like, okay, what do you think? What comes to mind when you think of London? What comes to mind with this? So it kind of helps them there, but
Agreed.
I don't let them get any digital ideas from it. I use
I
it as that type of source.
Yeah, and I think it depends on the level that you're teaching to,
Yeah.
like especially if it's a beginner or whatnot like
Yeah.
that, or somebody who's not to that. My experience with the teaching has been mostly like art school, different things like that.
Gotcha.
It's a little different. Like I said, it's not necessarily something good, something bad. It's just I feel like it's the timing at
Okay.
times, and it's different for everybody. And like I said, just because I think that, and I've said this many times before, just because I think that doesn't make it true.
Mhm.
But it's just something that I've seen to my thing. I love that bit about like with the research, especially when they're just starting out.
Yeah.
I think that's a great use for it. I think as designers sometimes, and myself included, we get involved in like, hey, we're working on this, we're working on that, and it's
Mhm.
we develop our own takes on this based on what we're going through personally.
Mhm.
Back to the personal thing again, right?
Yeah.
And every now and again, I can turn into like the get off your lawn,
Yeah.
grumpy old man. I mean, like I've
Yeah.
already have
Yeah.
the beard for it. I already have the beard for it. And I mean, I literally told some kids to get off my lawn like 2 nights ago. My wife's over there going, "Yep, I'm not kidding. I'm not kidding." I'm like, off,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I'm still in my 30s, man. But I've got kind of an old soul, and I've been that way ever since I got into the industry. But
Mhm.
I just have to. It's something that I've always had to work on. It's like just because I'm going through this or dealing with that, or I see things in a certain way, doesn't mean that's the end all be all.
Mhm.
Just because I believe certain things about identity design or whatnot, I think there are some things that are universal, but the
Mhm.
way that I approach it, very different. You had
Got it.
James Bernard on a couple
Yeah.
weeks ago, and then my buddy Alan Peters. He and I have been friends for a long time.
Yeah.
His process, James' process, my process could not be any different.
Yes.
But the work that comes out is spectacular.
Yeah.
At least on their parts. I'm hoping mine follows suit. But it's three different ways of looking at it, three different
Mhm.
ways of engaging with whoever you're collaborating with, and
Mhm.
three different ways of presenting to the client.
Mhm.
But the work
Yeah.
that comes out is still it's still spectacular. So there's a
Mhm.
lot of different ways to go around that.
Mm. So, what do you think it's once if you could narrow it down for the schooling and for your students,
Yeah.
what's one skill beyond design that you think every student should learn early, like on that first semester of design school and art school? What is the one thing you think they need to know?
Tell me. I think you can probably guess what I'm going to say. You have to be able to relate to people. You have
I
to be
just
able to
said it. I
have
said
a
you have
conversation.
to be able to relate.
It cannot look. You gotta be uncomfortable before you can be comfortable. People
Mhm.
see things that are make them uncomfortable, and I understand that there's introverts, extroverts, or whatever.
Mhm.
Look, you're in an industry that you're going to have to talk to people, you're going to have to collaborate, you're going to do that. If you're going to have a problem with that,
It's not
I
going
mean,
for you.
then we go from there.
Right.
But you have to be able to do that. You have to be
Right.
able to explain your ideas, you have to be able to defend your concepts, you have to be able to present your work.
Yeah.
And AI is not going to do that for you. You got to be able to do it yourself. And I do this, and I really drive that home with my students.
Do you think, and now I've thought about this and I've had a conversation with other designers and other design instructors and professors, do you think we should carve out a section in our curriculum on communication, not visual communication, just like person to person communication, because I feel like a lot of designers, like you said, that human connection they lack. They can design everything, but if they send it to you and you have a question, they kind of take it as a, you're questioning my authority. And it's like, no, no, no. Like you have to let that wall down. So what do you think about that?
Oh,
Implementing
yes. Yes.
part of it in like just communication. And it's not like a degree in communications. It's literally, how do you communicate as a designer?
I'm talking first quarter, second quarter,
Yeah.
and maybe 2 classes of that. I'm not even kidding. I mean, you need that. You
Yeah.
know, I think for 2 reasons, and you mentioned something that I hadn't brought up, which was, yes, communication to help with that, but the ability to take, not just to take criticism, but to respond to it and then implement it, and not
Mhm.
take it as a personal affront on your work,
Right.
you know, or just, hey, I took the criticism and then I just decided to do nothing.
Right.
And it's
Right.
like, I,
Yeah.
I tend to be, I'm not a mean teacher. I'm not a, okay, maybe at times I could be a mean teacher, but not in a like yell at you, like do whatever. I remember
Yeah.
there was one class of kids that I had, and let's talk about the stuff of that. Everything was a fight. Everything was, I'm just going to do my own thing. I think this is fine, whatever. So I
Shit.
finally sat all of them down. I said, if any one of you worked for me, I said, if by some miracle you ended up being an intern, I said, you would have all been fired in the first 30 minutes. I said, right now, based on what I'm seeing, I was like, forget the work. Based on what I said, I wouldn't hire you. I wouldn't recommend you anywhere. Not because of your work, but because of this. And I remember they just looked at me like, I was like, see, you're taking this as a personal affront. I'm telling you where you can be better. I'm telling you what's keeping you from this, and you're taking it as a personal insult.
Mhm.
It's like, if you want insults, I can do insults. Trust me. I was born and raised down here, man. I can do insults better than anybody. But that's not what I'm here for. I'm here because when you graduate from here, you're going to want to go get a job.
Right.
You're going to want to have a career.
Yep.
And I'm telling you, these things are going to be a detriment
Yeah.
if you don't get them fixed now. Now, I am also preaching the choir because look, I still have things that I have to deal with,
Yeah.
tendencies that I have,
Yeah.
that may not be the best. It's a constant day to day thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
I just I said that because it's like when it comes to, because I do critiques, I know you probably do critiques too. They just seem like it's like it hurts their heart, and it's just like, no, like I'm not here to hurt you. Like stop taking it personal. Like if I can't tell you, hey, this needs to be fixed here, guess what's going to happen? You're going to go out there and you think, oh, this person's going to pay me for this, and they're going to be like, this is not what I wanted, and you're going to be like, well, this is what you said. It's like, no, no, no. You have to be able to take that criticism. Oh, look at baby.
yeah.
Yeah.
I have just
Keep going.
taken. So
Keep
this
going.
podcast has just been taken over by my 16-month-old daughter. This is Mia. If y'all can hear Mia, can you blow my kiss? Yeah, it is.
Oh, thank you, Mia. So
So
sweet. So
she's
sweet.
around. She's been out and around and whatnot the whole time I've been down here. If you've heard her in the background, I work from home. I had a big what is it? I've got a studio here in the house, and it's just been it's been crazy, having everybody around and
Yeah.
really kind of being right in the middle of all that. But
Yeah.
I'll have her sit. This will be me, at least once a day. She'll be sitting on my lap while I'm working. She does a great job of just to sit there and just really pay attention to what's going on, and it's been
Yeah.
fun.
So since you got baby girl on your lap, let's talk about that. How is it being a father, a husband, a studio owner? How is it juggling literally all three of those things?
It's insane. I think my wife said it the best. I've long said that there's no such thing as work-life balance, at least not anything that works for everybody. But she said it the best. She said it's a balancing act. And some days it's more weight on one side, some days it's more weight on the other. And I think that that's the truth. I think there are some times where there are some days where I'm just not going to get a lot of stuff done because I need to do other things. There are some nights that I'm going to stay up late. There are some days where I get so much work done, it's unbelievable. But it's different. But I have learned, like trying to record a podcast, right?
It's fine. It's totally good, man.
But it's been great.
Mhm.
I
Do
had
you?
a studio in Atlanta for like 5 years. All right, but then Mia, you go see mommy. Can you say bye bye? Say bye bye.
Bye bye.
All right, there it is. Hey, go see mommy. There you go. So
Just so you know, I'm keeping all that in.
oh, I'm gonna be pissed if you don't.
No, my wife would be pissed if I did that.
No, dude, this is so. I remember um all these things, like I think I even mentioned like before. It's like, don't ask me about like inspiration and like what.
Yeah.
I'll just say this: I get it from life.
Yeah.
Remember
Yeah.
like these little moments, man. I remember we took my son, sweetheart. Was it for Sean's 7th birthday that we took him that he was at Disney with his seventh? He turned 7 while we were there, which is amazing. If you can go to
That's
your birthday.
dope.
So I had never been to Disneyland, to Walt Disney. We went down to Orlando. We were there for almost a week. It was unreal. And I remember like day one, right? We're gonna meet Mickey. We're gonna meet Minnie. All these different things. So we go in there, and I've got a little video of like Sean got his little backpack on. He's this tall. Running up to Mickey and giving the hug and taking the picture. And then he leans down and says something to Mickey, and Mickey, whatever.
Yeah.
And then Sean calls me over. I'm like, I'm gonna get to meet Mickey too. I'm a big kid. I'm still a 10-year-old kid at heart.
Yeah.
And I remember going over there. So slight background. So my son is he's autistic. He's on the spectrum, and he feels and understands. He has insight that is just it's amazing, and it hasn't always been easy, but it has been an amazing journey. And just seeing he's 13 now, and just seeing how he's grown and progressed. I thought I was creative, man. This kid puts me to shame, and it's not so. But he feels and understands that in a way that is mind blowing to me. So he calls me over there. And it's like, Dad, this is Mickey. And I'm like, oh, this is great, And then he turns to Mickey and he goes, shoot. He turns to Mickey and he goes, Mickey, my dad's he's an artist just like you.
Oh man.
Man. My wife found the picture. I've been talking about it for years. My wife found the picture the other day of there's a picture of Sean just kind of standing there like this, and I've got like Mickey in a bear hug. It was like the moment right after he said that.
Yeah.
And it's like I have kids that enjoy what I do and enjoy getting to do this stuff with me. Some folks hate working from home. Look, it's got its own share of challenges, and anybody who says otherwise is lying. But I wouldn't trade it.
Oh man,
I wouldn't.
That's beautiful. I love that, man.
Yeah.
I love that. I love the love you feel at home, because I feel like many designers don't get that. They don't have that love that they can feel, where they feel like balanced. Like you feel balanced, man. Like I can see it. Like you sharing that story with your son, baby girl coming back into the video. It's beautiful, man. It's beautiful. I love that for you, man.
Yeah. Got that. I've got my cat right here who'll jump on my lap or whatnot at some point or chitter at me.
Yeah.
But it's been good, man.
Are they your biggest critics when you're working on stuff? Do they ever look over your shoulder and say, "What's that?"
Absolutely. There was I can't describe it without showing the sketch, but it's still a running joke in our house. Sweetheart, the Magnolia Partners, one of my initial sketches.
Did she just say, "Oh my god"?
Yeah. I'll have to show you. I'll have to never show you the sketch. Basically, it didn't look great. I tried to draw flower petals, and it didn't look like flower petals. It was bad. But
Yeah.
what is it? But I love they love seeing my stuff, and I
Yeah.
love asking for their for their thoughts and whatnot. You know,
Yeah.
you can't get any more fresh eyes than that. But
Yeah.
it's been good. My son
That's
gets to
good.
come to some of my meetings. He gets to come to some of my events. I'll have brand audits that I'll go to with clients, and he'll come with me.
Dope. How does he
So,
take to that? Is he just like attentive
very.
and just listening?
Or he'll bring his own stuff and draw. That's
Oh, okay. That's
mostly it's
cool.
that. But
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and every now and again, here's a little bit of insight. Here's a little bit of that.
Yeah.
And sometimes I'll even ask, what do you think about this?
Mm,
And I love that because once again, it's back to you. You can't get any more personal than that. And
right.
I know I keep harping on it, but it's truth.
Wow. So, Scott, I'm gonna throw this little wrinkle into our conversation. This is my like quick, fast lightning round.
Let's do it.
So let's see. You just think of anything that comes to mind, and you can explain it if you want to or if you don't. Some people are like, I just like it. So hey, it's up to you. But pizza topping must have.
Got to have pepperonis.
Most iconic logo of all time.
Wow. That's the thing. Iconic is different to everybody. Like MTV can be insanely iconic and is. Was the
Okay.
original logo the most amazing thing in the world? Not
Nah.
especially, but it represents a culture, it
Yeah.
represents a period, and it represents like just an entire new era. And
Mhm.
it's still amazing even to this day. Iconic, I mean, you could say FedEx, with the arrow in the E and the X. You could say, Ford. You could, I mean, there's a million different things you say. I mean,
Yeah.
there's not one. Um, I'll have to go back and look at that. But I've got, there's a million answers to that.
Okay.
Um,
Okay.
my brain's over here is just like,
Nah, you good. You good. You good. Okay, so let's do this one. One tool you can't live without.
I think he's
Field notes. Yep.
gotta have this, gotta have my pen, gotta have that.
Yeah.
I think that is probably one of the biggest thing. If I were to just say anything other than that, probably my backpack.
Mm,
Um, I literally whoops, this little thing out there. I I literally almost named my studio backpack when I was first starting. Like
yeah.
I'm studio temporary, right?
Yeah.
Uh, at the time it was good design wherever I happened to be. That was like the era of the nomad designer back in like,
Yeah.
which Starbucks do you work at? There wasn't a
Yeah.
lot of like OG coffee shops around here at
Right.
that time. But anyway,
Yeah.
lightning round. So let's keep going.
Okay. Okay. All right. Let's go with design trend that just pisses you off.
My wife is laughing because she's she's not wrong. She literally, for those of y'all who didn't hear this, my wife said the question was, what design trend pisses you off, and my wife said all of them. She's not wrong. She is not wrong. When your whole thing is stay away from trends and fads and everything like that, it tends to be that. So
But what's one that you saw and you're just like, why do that?
oh my gosh.
Yeah, see, I can tell your brain's
See,
tinkering right now.
yeah, it's not.
I know what mine is, and I see it and I
But all
hate
right,
it.
tell me yours, and that'll give me another quick second because I'm trying to think. Let's see.
I hate the Y2K fad where they go the chrome, the bubbles, and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, don't
Oh,
like that.
I have it.
What is it?
Notches. Too many notches cut out in type.
Oh,
Sports teams and Nike.
oh,
Enough with the chisels in the counters, and it's just ink traps and type. I'm okay with to an extent, but when every single thing,
yeah,
mm,
yeah,
it's too much of a slightly okay thing. It's just
yeah, yeah,
if I could pick one out of like it's like eeny meeny miny mo. Okay,
yeah.
it's this one.
Okay,
That would be one. Yeah.
okay. One logo you could redesign.
Oh, if I could redesign it.
Mm-hmm.
Oof, the World's Strongest Man logo. I've
Ooh,
been a
wow.
fan of World's Strongest Man since I was a little kid. For Father's Day back in 2019, they actually came back to the U.S. For the first time in it was like 6 years or something.
Yeah.
For Father's Day, my wife sent me to Sarasota, which is about an hour and a half south of Orlando, to attend the World's Strongest Man competition live. I have
Wow.
long been a fan. They're getting better with a lot of this stuff, but I would attempt to lift some of the those implements just so that I could redesign their brand. I would
Mm.
love to do that.
And you already have the idea, I bet.
Might have gone a little further than an idea.
Okay, we're not gonna give it up here. We're
Probably
not gonna give it up here.
on. That's something I'm probably going to post later on in the year and just
Mm.
kind of go from there. Um, but we will see. We will see.
Okay.
I'm
All right.
put together. I'm going to put together a little reel and some different things about that just to see and just say, look, this is something I've loved, something that I've always enjoyed doing. But I think that would be, I think that'd be a massive one. I think, I think there's a lot of things about it that I would not change, like the overall form of the logo. But I think it can be a lot. I mean, you got a guy with the world on top of his back. I mean, you can't get more iconic than that. But I think that there's another way to for it to be designed that would be a lot more iconic and relatable.
Yeah. Okay. Last one.
Last one.
Dream collab, dead or alive?
Ooh.
Just one. I've had people ask, can I pick two? No, just one. Dream collab, dead or alive?
I'm a huge racing fan. Massive racing fan. But one of the things that I've always been a fan of, and I think you could do this with either that or an old, whether it's like an old major league, like an old, baseball field or an historic field or something like that. I want to work with either like a Richard Childress or Tony Stewart to revive one of the old dirt tracks or one of the old like a Bowman Gray or something like that, which has only recently come back into the limelight. I want to redesign everything. I want to design the logos. I want to design the walls. I want to design the wayfinding. I want to design turn 1, turn 2, like all these different things. I want to design everything about one of those places. Any sport or anything that I'm really into, I get really deep in the history. You should ask me something about NASCAR racing from time to time. It's insane, and that had a massive influence on my work, which is a whole nother podcast. But man, there's so much history there.
Yeah.
And I just think that would be so much fun. Heritage is a big word in my work, and I think that term has been bastardized a little bit. Because some people take heritage to mean like, oh, it has a heritage feel about it or a quality. I'm like, there's a difference between having it look like it and having something that is, based on actual heritage of the region, of the brand, of all these things. It's two very different things. That can be how you grew up. That could be where you're from, all these different things. And, if I could tie, everything off with a beautiful bow, I think that is one of the reasons that I love design so much. There's a heritage quality to so much of what I do. It's experience. It's my personal experience. It's my client's experience, their customers' experience, and then just experience in general. And I think that kind of ties everything together for me. You mentioned, this idea of, soul or whatnot in my work. And that's where it comes from. And it's something, this is why I've seen a lot of designers, they kind of evolve into art directors and creative directors, and not as much the day-to-day stuff, and the grind. This is why this stuff never gets old for me. And, my goal is to design the tricentennial logo for the US. I'll be in 90 by then, but that's what I'm going to do. If I'm still alive, I'm designing that darn logo.
Wow, man. So Scott, what's a truth or a lesson you always try to pass on to the next generation of designers?
I'll try to not repeat myself with everything we talked about. Your work gets you in the door. Your character keeps you there.
Yeah.
I think it was Christian Helms, was Helms Workshop. He mentioned, I can teach somebody how to be a great designer, but I can't teach them how to be a good person. Yeah. That ultimately You have that work ethic. You understand how to relate to people. You're willing to learn, willing to take criticism, willing to show up early, stay late, willing to, put your heart and soul into this thing. I'm going to hire that person more than I'm going to hire like 10 out of 10 times before I will hire a portfolio. Your portfolio just gets your foot in the door.
Yeah.
That's it. I want to know
Okay.
you. And that is what's going to determine, whether we work together or, it's going to determine a lot in your life. So that's something that I try to pass on. Now, have I made mistakes? Oh yeah. Will I make more? I mean, I'm breathing, right? It's going to happen. But that is something that I try to pass on.
So Scott, where can the people find your work, your merch, and what's happening next for you, my man?
So go to thestudiotemporary.com to check out my work. You can follow me on the socials at Studio Temporary everything. For my streetwear brand, Iconic, go to stayiconicbrand.com. And if you have any questions, you want to reach out, fill out my contact form, give me a call, shoot me a text, whatever works. And I'd be happy to have a conversation, dude. If you and I were in a similar city or whatnot, we'd be doing this podcast over a meal.
Yeah, 100%. We would. Yeah,
exactly. So if you ever come back and visit family or whatnot here in Atlanta, stop by and we'll make some cool stuff happen.
Okay, sounds good. Well, you guys, thank you so much for listening to our podcast today. My name is Justin Robinson. You guys see who I'm talking to. This man's goated. You can see it on his hat. It says Iconic. He's talented. He's a loving man. He's a loving father. He will give it to you straight. And listen, if you listen to him, you're going to go places. I have Scott Fuller on the show. And this is the Art School Graduate. We'll catch y'all later. Peace.